The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.
We're so pleased to have back on the show award-winning, incredible singer, songwriter, and author. He's Billboard charted with the Americana and Roots songs he's done. Grant Maloy Smith. Grant, it's so good to have you back on.
Oh man, it's my pleasure to be here.
It seems like it was just yesterday, and I look back, it's like going, really? That was like, back in 2017 or something?
I know, I think I was 12 years old when last time I was here.
But I think I feel like I know you and stay in touch with you all the time, though, Grant, because I follow you on social media.
Yep.
And I always like your sense of humor.
I'm a little bit deranged in some of the things that I post.
But I mean, the amount of music and content that you generate, my friend, is staggering, especially with your new album that came out in August, Mississippi, American Stories. And this is the third in this one. But I got to tell you, and you can disagree with me if you want, I think this is your best to date.
I have to be modest and say, oh, no, it's horrible. But I mean, just comparing the three that I've made, I do think it is the best one. I spent a lot of time on it. And plus I had the practice of doing the first two. So I think I just got better just by repetition.
But I like it that you're going with these themes, Grant, because, you've done Dust Bowl, you've done, Appalachia.
Right.
And so the themes and everything that you followed. But Mississippi really hit home to me, and you and I were talking before we came in studio, because I was raised on the Mississippi in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And so when you're talking about these different towns, like St. Genevieve, like Cairo, and everything like that, it's like I
that's
know
where
those towns.
That's where you grew up.
Right. And so but the storytelling and everything that you did in here is, and I have so many songs that I love on here, and you and I were talking about it. And also I got to bring up, how many guests did you have on here, including Janis Ian?
I didn't even count. There's got to be at least 25 or 30 players.
And then also on the one song you have Carrie McDowell.
She's a great singer. Great singer. We recorded that right here. She lives here.
6 different studios for one album. How long did it take you to put Mississippi together?
About 3 years.
Wow.
Each one of these American Stories series albums has taken me about 3 years. The middle one took 4 years because of COVID.
Right. And so many powerful songs on here too. And I think one of the ones that really struck me too, Lord Knows I Cried. And I think what is incredible about that, I want you to tell the story about it, but also that the guitar you're holding, you purchased in Memphis. Tell the background of that story.
Of the song, yeah. It's about the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated, which happened in Memphis at the Lorraine Motel, just blocks from the river, the Mississippi River. I think I was 8 or 9 years old the day that happened. And it really, Bobby Kennedy was killed just a few months later, I think, and JFK was killed just a few years before. And it really set the whole country on its heels. And even though I was just a little kid, it affected me, it affected everybody. Very deeply emotionally. And I was leaving Clarksdale about 1.5 years ago, which is like the crossroads where the blues came out of. I had spent a whole weekend with my family just soaking in blues, working on this record in the back of my mind, and I realized I gotta have a song about Dr. King. I gotta have a song about Dr. King.
It's so powerful.
That's where this came from.
Yeah, and I think all of the songs on here too, and once again, like we were talking about paddle wheels. Where you're covering, essentially the paddle wheel race that had happened after the Civil War and Fade to Gray. When the devil comes, the river runs for everyone. It's like, the dobro guitar on here also. I wish you could have found somebody great to play on this.
Yes, I could only get Rob Ickes. One of the best players on the earth.
But I think to me, listening to Mississippi and certainly, listening to all of your past, songs and albums and everything, Grant, you tie this together like the river, and what's amazing is, besides that you have a CD with it, you also have an optional book. This is your second book, because your first book, which I also own, Fly Possum Fly,
another seminal work of great genius.
But a fun book. But what an incredible coffee table book that you have created with this.
I really spent a lot of time and effort on that. I wanted, like in the old days when we had record albums, big ones, with vinyl records inside, sometimes it would open up and you'd get a few pages. I wanted to have that times 100. I wanted to make like the liner notes on acid.
It's just amazing though, but also you've got You've got pictures and everything that go with it, with the backstory.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting on this to me also, Grant, to where, and you and I are both fans of Mark Twain. And so that was one of the driving forces for you to really do this body of work.
It is.
And so how did Mark's, writings and everything in life inspire you? And, out of Hannibal, Missouri.
I mean, ever since I was a kid, I loved the Mark Twain books. I just fell in love with it. I love as a writer, I love his voice, his Southern voice, the way he said, just the way he says things is that typical Southern kind of sardonic, wry, but ultimately kind way of saying things. Not nasty, just funny. And I just love his voice, and I love his stories about the river. He obviously loved the river very much. And it's, in Huckleberry Finn especially, it is a place of sanctitude or sanctity, away from the horrors of slavery. For example, it's where, Huck and Jim kind of escaped. There were dangers on the river itself too, just like there are, but nonetheless, while they were on the river, Jim wasn't subject to being a slave, you know what I mean? So it was kind of a metaphor for safety and against a cruel world, a world that can be cruel.
Well, and I think another great thing on this too with Mississippi, Grant, to where, you tell so many different people's stories within it. It's almost a history lesson. So I'm so glad you did the book also, in that, you can go through, because when I was listening to the album in its entirety, which I certainly suggest our viewers do, you paint a picture with your words in this, just like you've done with your past works. But I guess, once again, it hits more home with me because of my tie to the Mississippi River. And it's like that river tied so many people together. Back down to the Native Americans and everything, and all of it.
People, they think, anthropologists now think that Native Americans have been living here on this continent for 30,000 years. They used to think it was 20,000. Now it's like they've expanded it out. But the Mississippi River is so ancient. It was here when this continent was part of the big Pangea continent. Dinosaurs drank out of the Mississippi River, before it was ever called the Mississippi River. Isn't that amazing? It's been here like almost the whole length of the eternity of the earth for millions of years.
It's such a lifeblood for, for states and for the United States and for the people. Even back when it was, first, discovered by outsiders.
It's not our longest river. I think Missouri River is longer. But the Mississippi is our most famous river, and it's our, I think, culturally and economically the most significant river we have because of its role in commerce. And in the culture, moving people up and down, and that kind of thing.
It was the train system before the train.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is amazing. Well, and I wanted to bring this up too, to where, certainly, you've got 16 songs on here. And so 61 minutes, 44 seconds, you couldn't do it on vinyl. It's out on playlist. But to me also, Grant, it really felt like these songs would lend themselves to a documentary or a film. And certainly you have acted, and you were in a film in 2019, and so you've done other acting work. But what do you think about that, with it being part of TV and film work?
I would love it. That would be a lot of fun. That would really be a lot of fun, and I got the score already written.
You do, and you're going to be creating music videos though also, correct?
Yes, I'm going to spend the next year at least making videos for many of the songs on the record. I've got to make one about the Dr. King song, Lord Knows I Cried. I've got to make one about the big earthquakes in New Madrid. Which is When the Devil Comes. I want to make one about Memphis, the song I did with Janis Ian. I got to do that. I'll try to wrangle her to go in it with me if I can.
And also, it's not a bad thing either, Grant. And certainly you've won, you've got Grammy certificates, you've got multiple awards over the years, you've got an Indie Music Award. But also when Janis Ian is bragging about you on how incredible your voice and songwriting are, that's not bad.
And you wouldn't believe how much I had to pay her to...
But then, to where she joined you with guitar.
And piano,
And piano on this album.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I feel very honored.
That has to be some highlights.
You know how that happened? It was kind of crazy. Sometimes I do crossword puzzles on my phone. That's my only game that it's not a game really, but that's the only thing I do for fun on my phone. And I was doing a crossword one night. This record was done. Not mixed, but done. Recording was done. And her name came up as a clue, as an answer to a clue.
Oh my gosh.
Folk singer Janis, 3 letters. So I filled it in with Ian, and I took a screenshot and I emailed it to her because I had met her some years before. And I said, just thinking about you, and your name came up, and hope you're doing great. And she wrote me back almost immediately, I think that same night, and said, hey, thank you. And by the way, I've been seeing in social media that your Mississippi record is almost done, and et cetera. I didn't even know she was following me at all. And she said, by the way, I wrote a song called Memphis like 25 years ago. Willie Nelson sang on it with me on my version in 2000 or 1999, whatever it was.
So you're in that league with Willie now? Yes,
no,
you are.
I'm not. I would like to be, but I am. But here's a link to the song. So I played it, and then I had two reactions. One was, wow, what a great song. And my other reaction was, darn it, because I'm done. I really want to put that song on the record. I really want to put that song, especially if she would play on it with me.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
But I'm done, and I don't want to not be done.
Yeah.
But I decided I mean, how many chances am I going to get to do a song with Janis Ian? So,
oh my gosh.
So I called her and said, hey, could you, I never put anybody else's song on any of my records ever before in my entire life, but I would be honored to put your song.
How incredible.
She wrote it with Dina Carter. Dina Carter
Right.
co-wrote it with her, but I would be honored to put this song on the record, but you got to play on it with me.
That's a great, that's it.
So she did,
yeah.
and she was so good. She's such a, I knew she was a piano player, because that's how, when she first became really famous, I would see her, I would be sitting in my pajamas watching her on TV, back in the day, and she was always playing the piano. I didn't know how good of a guitar player she is. She
oh my
really
gosh,
is
it
a very
sounds
good
so
guitar.
great on this. And also, I've got to bring this up to where, 6 different studios.
Yes.
6 different studios to pull all, and what amazed me also, and once again, appreciating all your past albums and even back to when you were in the band Britannia and all that, but it's like, but look at this to where the horn sections.
Yeah.
So you've got fiddle, you've got steel, you've got banjo, obviously guitar and drums, but the horns sound so lush in this.
Yeah, I used 3 different horn sections.
Oh my goodness, Grant.
Well, the one I recorded here in Nashville was directed by Roy Agee, who did all the horn stuff for Prince for the last 10 years, I think, of Prince's career. He's unbelievable, and he brought in 2 amazing players. And then for the Dr. King song, I had to record it in Memphis.
Had to.
And I used some great players, headed by Mark Franklin, a trumpet player, who did the arrangements. I had played with him. I didn't play with him. I mean, I was working with him on some shows we did in England with Paul Rodgers about 10 years, in fact, exactly 10 years ago. That's where I met them. Paul Rodgers did a soul album, and then I was helping out on that tour over in England, and I met the horn section because we traveled together all over. And so I hired them.
You've already opened up for Steppenwolf, so I mean,
It was back in the day.
Yeah, still counts.
Does count.
And I got to bring this up too. Yeah, the Guess Who as well. Well, and also, now you're endorsed by LR Baggs.
Yes.
And so you're using their pickup systems.
Yeah.
And you're going to be testing out one of their new guitars on the road too. Keeping up with you, I feel like it's where is Grant Maloy Smith? I need like a map, because when you're out on the road touring, you're like everywhere.
I'm everywhere you want to be. I'm like a credit card of some kind.
Well, I want to make sure, it's certainly, this is available. Your new album, Mississippi, American Stories, is available on CD, also digital on playlist. Everybody needs to add this in because it's an immersive listen. But also I recommend the book. And so they can order the book and get a signed copy from you if they don't catch you on tour, which they should. Website-wise and everything else that you're doing, Grant, where should our viewers go for website, social media, everything you've got going?
Everything connects to my website. So if you go there, you can go to anywhere else. And the book I sell on my website.
And on tour.
And on tour in person, yeah. So for sure you can come see me.
You should sell like little bottles of Mississippi water also.
I thought about it. Yeah. When I made the Dust Bowl record, I put out tiny little bottles.
I remember that.
I got real dust from Oklahoma.
Right. I think you need to do that.
I should do it.
Yeah.
I think I still have 200 of those bottles because I bought you had to buy like 10,000 of them or something like that.
So you got the bottles. Well, I'll tell you what.
Tiny little corks.
I love this new album. I think it's your best work to date.
Thank you.
And I have a feeling, and you heard it here first, this is going to be achieving more awards for you, which you always need one more award.
Yes.
And they're great when you're at Starbucks. You can just walk up and go, hey, I don't know if you know, but I'm an award-winning artist.
Yeah, and they'll go, well, that's full price for you, sir.
And extra for Eric. But be sure and, go to his website. If you, listen to CDs or digital, check out Mississippi American Stories. Also the book for the lyrics and just the pictures and everything else. It's so immersive. Great job. This is amazing.
Man.
I don't know how you're going to top this with the next one, but I know you're already working on it.
I am. I'm working on it. You want me to talk about it, or?
Well, you know, I mean, we'll just say that, you know, maybe you're going to be going west on the next one.
Definitely. West Nashville. I'm going. No, a little farther. A little
I've
farther.
lived there. Yeah, no. But and so they have to go to your website and social media to keep up with everything. And what an incredible album and book and everything. So great to have you on. Grant Maloy Smith. Be sure and check him out. Go see him live, but also give this album a listen. You're going to love every song on here and the incredible coffee table book too. Thanks for coming on, Grant.
Thank you.
The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.